It's the Prentice Allsup Heating and Air Coach's Corner, fueled by Donut Country and McDonald's on 101.9, 100.5, 1450, WGNSSports.com, and Big G TV.
The Coaches Show is brought to you by Middle Tennessee Electric, serving our community by providing affordable, reliable, and safe electricity. Online at mte.com. Danny Brewer here. I'm extremely happy now to be joined by Matt Williams, the Dean of Rutherford County High School football coaches and the main man at Smyrna High School. Coach, how are you this morning?
Doing all right, Danny. How are you?
Well, I'm quite well, Coach. You know, it's a lovely August day. We've got week 1 in the books. Things may have not gone exactly how you wanted last night, but tough loss, 14-13 at Brentwood. But you got to be proud of your team for going on the road. Brentwood is not an easy place to go and play.
No, I mean, I thought it was a good test for us, and, our schedule sort of sets up, hopefully, to help us with those environments as we get on the road. But, heartbreaker, sort of heartbroken for the kids. They played really, really hard. We just talked about going into the game that we couldn't make mistakes to hurt ourselves, and just had a lot of miscues. I think both teams did. Obviously, I think Brentwood had a lot of penalty yards, like more than we did, and, which was a little bit surprising. But I thought our kids played really hard. We've just got to execute better in key situations, and those are things we can clean up and fix. And I had a lot of new faces last night playing for the first time on the Friday Night Lights, and so I think their growth from week 1 to week 2 will be substantial.
Well, usually that can be the case a lot of times because week 1, you like you said, you got the jitters. You got a lot of new faces out there. Let's talk a little bit about the defense. So you only gave up 14 points, I think, 1 touchdown early and unfortunately 1 touchdown late.
Yeah, I mean, first drive they did a good job and schemed us up a little bit, and we're able to go down and score. But I thought we did a really good job adjusting. Obviously, it was 13-7. If it had been a 44-minute ball game, we'd have won. But obviously, it's not. It's a 48-minute ball game. And, our defense after that first drive really settled down and sort of commanded the game. Denzel Yarborough had a big, 50-something yard interception return for a touchdown that tied it up and sort of changed the momentum. The biggest thing that beat us, Danny, was we had 2 opportunities down inside the 10-yard line. Didn't put the ball in the end zone. If we score even one of those times, obviously we win the football game. So we've got to figure out a way to execute better down there in the red zone.
Yeah, because in that case, field goals are not what you want. You want touchdowns.
No, you let people hang around. I mean, we set up for 2 field goals and, didn't come out and obviously got shut out in the second half. And, we got to do a better job offense. And there's a lot of things. We had a lot of opportunities that were missed. And some were miscommunications on big downs. Had a screen pass called that we got a miscommunication there, and our quarterback thought it was a key run. And obviously not we wanted that situation, and had a couple of seam passes that were wide open that probably would have been touchdowns that we just missed. And those are things we'll get corrected on film and come back from. But, I thought our defense played really well and made some plays. We had 2 interceptions, 2 takeaways. And but a lot we got to clean up, though, on the other phases.
Coach, let's talk a little bit about one of your defenders, and I think you play someone off offense, Jerry Martin. Talk about that kid and how not only a leader on the field, but he's a leader off the field, I think.
Yeah, he's one of our team-voted captains. His peers selected him as captain. Didn't play any offense last night, but did a really good job on defense. And even when he's not making tackles or sacking the quarterback, he's causing disruption. He opens up a lot of things for other kids. Anthony Staples also another D lineman in there with him that did a really good job in a sack last night. And Jerry's just a different kid, and he's a kid every week that opposing offense they'll sort of have to plan around just because he's such a force and so physical and just does such a good job getting off blocks. And he demands a double team. He's really good. It was really good last night at times splitting those double teams. So just a physical force and probably one of the most physically strong and powerful kids I've ever coached. So Jerry's a special kid, no doubt.
Off the field, because I've when my time around Smyrna a little bit, I see him off the field being a leader too, and that's something you obviously greatly value.
Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, he's leader in the classroom, leader in the hallways. I can't tell you how many times I've had teachers, commend him and how he acts in class and the way he is in the hallways. And so this is a special kid all the way around. He was a kid that showed up that was sort of mature beyond his years, and I think that's rubbed off on a lot of kids. So I mentioned Anthony Staples. Anthony Staples is the same kind of kid. Special kid, great leader in the hallways in the school building, and both are involved in student government in some facet, and just a special young man.
Coach Yarborough, I know he had the big pick six, but I think he was in 7 tackles last night too. So talk a little bit more about that kid and what he's doing.
Yeah, he's gotten a lot better. Last year, start of the year, he had not played a lot, and a lot of growing pains through the early part of last year. And then we felt like later in the year last year, he'd sort of, come around and sort of figure some things out and become more physical. And, last night had the big play, obviously put us back in the ball game and had a lot of tackles. There's still some room for growth there in certain areas, but he made some splash plays for us last night that sort of helped us sustain the ball game.
Coach, let's talk a little bit about offense, running game. I know that running the football has obviously been a staple of Smyrna High during your tenure there, and that's how you win is by running football. Talk a little bit about your running game.
Yeah, I thought we ran the ball good at times last night. We got, a few issues that cropped up. I'm actually coaching offensive line. I thought at times we did a good job getting pushed, but didn't do a great job getting off on linebackers when we needed to, and a lot of their linebackers sort of gave us fits and made some mistakes that we worked on all week and some things we had stressed in the game plan that we didn't get executed as far as their outside backer folding over in there and things we've got to get better at. But, some of that I was expecting a little bit. You got one returner on the offensive line, you're going to have some mistakes like that. But, again, it's a chance to get in the film and make corrections, and we'll do that. And I thought Christian Beatty, and RJ, Christian ran it hard at times. And, RJ came in and gave us a spark. He's got a different gear and sort of an elusiveness that you can't teach. So I thought we ran the ball well at times. We got to do a better job in some of those areas, and we'll get that cleaned up. And I thought we blocked really well and got good movement at times. It's just like I said, at times we got better about getting off on the linebacker here and there. And at times running backs got to do a better job of hitting the seam. At times we bounce runs, and it looks like we're doing a poor job blocking. But if they hit it up in there where they're supposed to, you probably have a big run. So just, again, things we got to clean up between week 1 and week 2.
So let's talk about week 2. At Hendersonville, coming up, another road test. Tell me a little bit about what you want to see out of your players this week.
Yeah, we'll have to be destined. I've already been in the film this morning. They're going to be the same old Hendersonville. It's funny. I told somebody, when I first got to Smyrna in 1998, we were in that district with Hendersonville and Gallatin and Mountain Juliet and Lebanon, all that bunch. And still the same Hendersonville. They're still wing T. There's still going to be a base 50 on defense. They're going to be big up front on defense. They got a big kid, number 79, so a big old defensive tackle, and I think he's their left tackle on offense. And they got an athlete, number 13. It's a wing back for him and play some safety for him. It's a really gifted athlete. I think he had a kickoff return for a touchdown against Gallatin last night. And so we're going to have to be prepared for that. And, I tell our team all the time, the wing T offense is an offense designed to take advantage of undisciplined defenses. So we've got to be really disciplined, and we're going to have to play the games first with our eyes and reading our keys and trusting our eyes and our reads and not looking for the football. So it's going to be key that we do that on defense. Offense, we've got to find a way to run the football. They got some big kids up front, and I think there's some things we can do in the throw game. We've got to execute that. And the biggest thing I'm going to want to see, and then especially things, we got to do a lot better in kickoff coverage. Last night, kickoff coverage, we weren't very good, and got to do a better job there. And I also had a key. I thought we did a pretty good job in the punt game. But they're late when we needed the punt. We shanked it and gave them good field position there on our last drive. So some things to clean up there. But we're just going to be disciplined. Hendersonville's going to be another tough atmosphere in Sumner County. They're obviously a historic program over there, and just going to have a really good week of preparation. I tell the kids all the time, you're going to beat them Monday through Thursday. So got to prepare.
Amen on that, Coach. Wing T, that used to be very common, but not so common in this day and age of football, but still a very tough offense to prepare for.
Yeah, it's just, it's one of those deals. It's sort of like, it used to be the norm, obviously, and we ran it when I was in high school, and then obviously when I started coaching, there were still all the wing T teams, but it's sort of like in college football, these teams that struggle against Army and Navy, and there's a reason because they don't see it very often. So we've got to be able to prepare for it. And a big part of that is going to be our scout look. That's the thing people don't think about. It's hard to replicate in the practice. So we're going to have to do a good job with our scout offense and make sure we give our defense a good look.
Coach, we appreciate your time. We wish you the best of luck in the coming weeks, and congratulations on a big effort last night at Brentwood.
All right, thanks, Danny.
The Coaches Show is brought to you by the law offices of John Day. They've helped thousands of people get the legal help they need when they've needed it the most. If you've been injured, call the law offices of John Day.
Rely on the experienced professionals at Prentice All